Hello, dear listeners. I, Dr. Prachi D, welcome you to yet another episode of your favorite English language show, Kaleidoscope. Knowledge and proficiency in the language is a doorway to wisdom. Opening such a doorway through our today's edition of Kaleidoscope, I, Dr. Prachi D, a mass communication professional and media research enthusiast, bring to you a very interesting conversation titled Unlocking Challenges of English Language. And to gain insights and professional tips on the language, we have a special guest, Mrs. Davinder Pran Nath, with us in the studio. Dear listeners, I would like to tell you that ma'am is a retired principal from Government PG College affiliated under Kurukshetra University and is now residing at Pune. She has a career spanning 36 years of English teaching, where she served at almost 10 government colleges across northern India. Welcome to All India Radio Pune, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Prachi.
So, ma'am, I will be opening the interview with the very obvious question of trying to understand what made you choose English as your subject of study, and then also pursue it for your entire career span.
Okay, this will seem very interesting to you that the school I studied in my childhood was such a school where English was introduced only in 6th class. Still, I loved this subject and developed a special kind of infatuation for this subject, and credit goes to my English teacher, Mrs. Sood. She was a very dedicated teacher, taking keen interest in each and every student in the class. She would make every student read aloud, give dictation on every alternate day, and rectify notebooks. She always encouraged students with small gestures like clapping in the class and announcing the names of such students as making good progress. This is how I started loving the subject, and this love of English continued and stayed with me throughout my studying and teaching career.
So, ma'am, generally college teaching as a profession is demanding because you deal with grown-ups who are accustomed to certain habits or a way of life. So, would you suggest such students who do not belong to English-speaking households as techniques that they can use to improve their speaking and writing the English language?
A majority of students are surrounded by such people speaking their native language only. They have to put extra efforts for learning the second language. Also, the teacher needs to put extra efforts for training them. They must keep a good dictionary first of all, so that they can consult the new words immediately. They can also use mirror technique, that is, stand before the mirror and speak loudly or read from the book just to overcome their shyness. Moreover, they will have to tone down their native language a little bit. They can make small groups. This is one motive for them amongst themselves, and try to interact in English using small sentences, very simple one. If the students are really committed, I would say, to learning, they will definitely try to overcome their hesitation by ignoring others who are making fun of them. But they have to be very patient while learning to acquire the basic skills of speaking, listening, reading, writing, and understanding. Learning occurs in small phases, as you know. Rome was not built in a day.
Yes, true. Well, here your response brings me to the next question about the usage of idioms and jargons, especially technical jargons. Do you find that as advantageous or restrictive for an English language learner?
Idioms, jargons, and bombastic words belonging to a particular language must be used in a very efficient manner, depending upon the situation, context, and the target audience. For example, in the situation of a conference, one can make use of such things. Since the conference attendees are the target audience, they can surely get the context of it, and because they share the same knowledge area. Otherwise, in ordinary situation, one should refrain from using all these and try to make the language as simple as possible.
Correct. So you've just used an adjective bombastic, which is quite interesting to listen. But what is your advice to those who overuse such jargons just to sound knowledgeable or at times dominate the conversation?
It is not necessary to use idioms, jargons, and difficult words just to make a show that you are very expert or overpower the conversation. On the other hand, I would like to say that real knowledge lies in the fact that your language should be simple and easily understood by others. And those persons who make overuse of such things, for them, I would like to say that they will have to work hard for improving their expression. They must listen to their own words and read their own written expression and identify the frequency of literary jargons being used by them. And after identification, I would like to advise them that they should make some extra efforts for replacing difficult words with simple ones. This will make their language easily comprehensible for others.
So, ma'am, apart from beautifying our expression, a lot of the times it is just difficult to find the right vocabulary. I find a lot of students struggling with appropriate words, especially when it comes to speaking. Can you suggest ways to improve their vocabulary?
Use of appropriate words at the appropriate time and situation. That depends upon the number of words that a person has in his personal active vocabulary. Here, I would like to suggest the students that they must prepare a personal notebook. In that notebook, they should allot at least 2 pages to each alphabet, that is from A to Z. Whenever they are reading a book or an article in English and they find new words which they are not aware of, they are advised to consult the dictionary or any other technological tool to locate the word immediately without wasting a single moment. And then after locating the word, they should write that particular word along with its meaning and usage in their personal notebook on the allotted page. And this kind of process nowadays is quite easy since everyone has an access for the words online. But it is necessary to write the word details in the personal notebook, because once you write the word with your own hand, it gets imprinted in your mind forever. Slowly and gradually, this handwritten notebook will turn into ready reckoner. And if one continues to flip through the pages of this notebook, the words will automatically get shifted from passive vocabulary to active vocabulary. And by active vocabulary, what I mean to say is the words that a person can easily use in his spoken and written language. So this consistent exercise can be very helpful for vocabulary expansion.
Ma'am, also there are elements like accent, pace, pauses, emphasis, tonality, and volume that affect how one is understood. What are your views and suggestions about improving or working upon each one of these?
For accent and intonation, we follow either British, Indian, or American version of language. Those who want to be good learners of spoken English must initially listen to news readers on English news channels or English language public broadcasters. And once they acquire certain level of proficiency, they may opt for English programs on OTT platforms or maybe English movie channels. But it should not be vice versa. Here I would like to warn them, because that will deteriorate their expression, since they will learn using slangs, jargons, or inappropriate lingos. One can also learn this use of pauses, accent, and intonation by practice, like recording and listening to one's own voice. And these days, one can also use various AI applications like Small Talk to Me, Lura, and Microsoft's Copilot, etc. It may improve one's command over English. Correct accent, pauses, and intonation are really very important to make the speech meaningful. A change in any of these can also change the meaning. For example, if I say, we need to finish the project today, if the stress is on the word we, it would mean I'm talking about the team. If the stress is upon the project, it would mean I'm talking about the task. And if it is the word today, it would mean that time is more important. I am talking about the timeline. So this is how change in stress pattern can change the meaning of the sentence.
Ma'am, I would now want you to share your expertise about writing. What kind of mistakes do you often find in the written expression of students, and how can they improvise those?
When it comes to writing, students face a number of problems, like using appropriate words for describing a particular situation, and the use of grammar also, like tenses, voice, narration, sentence structure, etc. For all these, once again, I would say that practice is required, and more than practice, visualization is needed. For a learner of English language, it is quite necessary to know the basic rules of grammar, and that one can do very easily. For example, use of tenses. Just take one sentence and try to express it in all the 12 tenses. Similarly, take one sentence and try to change the voice, again using all the 12 tenses. And the same thing one can do with narration also. Such an easy practice will bring clarity in the mind of a learner regarding basic rules of grammar and sentence structure.
And ma'am, what about enhancing their ability to visualize?
For improving visualization, one has to be a very keen observer first. Once this faculty of observation is developed, this faculty of visualization will become very easy. One can either use the imitation or vivid expression to create and express things. A person is reading, he should try to convert the written words into mental pictures. And this practice of visualization and creating pictures will also help the person to understand the language clearly.
In your career spanning 30 plus years, 36 years to be precise, where and in whose writings did you find your inspiration, ma'am?
I always find a lot of inspiration from the poems of an American poet, Robert Frost. He writes poems in a very simple language. Each and every poem written by him has a small incident described in it. Very fascinating and captivating one. The beauty of his poems lies in the fact that anyone can enjoy his poetry. Even a person having no literary background can enjoy his poems for the simple description of beautiful sights of nature and the surface meaning of words. Simultaneously, literary person can enjoy his poems for the deep implied meaning of the poems and the surprising manner how he correlates these simple anecdotes to real life situations. I really love this poet.
Do you recall any famous or maybe your choicest verses by him?
Sure. I can recite a few lines from one of his famous poems entitled Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. It goes like this. Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep.
Wow, that's quite deep. Ma'am, do experiences or one's exposure also affect language proficiency, especially when it comes to writing poetry?
Yes, exposure to profound experiences in life is very much required for writing purpose. As far as proficiency in language is concerned, that is nothing but a tool of expression. Heartfelt emotions will appear in your writing only when a person has already experienced something in his or her life very deeply. I must share here a definition of poetry given by a great English poet, William Wordsworth. According to him, poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings originating from emotions recollected in tranquility.
That was quite a profound definition. Can you share certain aspects that one must consider while seeking a writer, author, or a poet as their guiding light while starting to learn English?
One must start with the writer writing in very simple style and describing scenes and experiences belonging to one's own culture and lifestyle. And one can also start with storybooks with simple vocabulary and sentence structure. Later on, one can shift his focus to foreign authors of his choice, maybe American or English authors, or can also use AI applications to advance his skills.
Speaking of AI, what changes have you observed in speaking, writing, or maybe in the language as a whole over time?
Previously, English language was used only for education, administrative and business purpose. Nowadays we have internet and social media. More and more words are being included in English due to internet and digitization. Moreover, focus in teaching of English has also changed from literary teaching to skill-based teaching, aimed at developing the skills of listening, reading, speaking, and writing.
So, ma'am, to conclude, I would request you to share a motivational message encouraging English language aspirants.
Hard work is the key to success. There's no shortcut for success. So, work hard with full dedication and always use paper and pen to express your thoughts.
So, lovely listeners, we have come to the conclusion of our today's episode. And while thoughts may rule the world, it is the language that influences the way you, me, and we think. So, keep improving your linguistic skills to captivate your audiences. On this wonderful note, I, Dr. Prachi D, thank our English language expert, Mrs. Davinder Pran Nath, for sharing incredibly fantastic tips. Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Prachi.
With this, I would quickly summarize today's lessons learned in our lovely interaction with Devendra ma'am for our listeners. So, you have to stay dedicated, read aloud, keep an online or offline dictionary handy, check your pronunciations, maintain a journal, practice speaking by interacting with others, limit the usage of idioms and jargons, practice difficult words by writing. Do pay attention to the articulation style of English news channels or public broadcasters. Try speech or language related AI applications. And if you keep sincerely working upon acquiring grammatical knowledge, you must choose or follow a classic poet or author. Do attempt expressing a vivid scene out of your imagination that will help enhance your visualization. Besides these, I'm sure that if you all would try these simple yet effective methods discussed by ma'am, you will surely be able to improve your linguistic skills. So listeners, deploy these tools and captivate your audiences. As we sign off the Kaleidoscope program, you must stay tuned for the next one.